All right, and welcome to Paranormal Synergy. Today I have my really good friend with me.
How's it going?
And we're going to just shoot the shit and kind of talk about things today. Just kind of imagine like you as an audience are not there. So we were actually just talking before this episode, and I'm just ecstatic because me and John haven't gotten together in a while.
Good God.
And, I've been stuck in a bed with a back injury and just kind of dreading life. But anyways, I digress from that. So we're going to talk about some paranormal events that happened between both of our lives. And the reason I brought John here today is he's had so many stories to share, and I'm kind of going to put him on the spot. So,
thanks a lot.
You're welcome.
So what do we want to start with first?
Whatever you want.
Okay, so I've been thinking about this one for a bit since you asked me to do this. And me and my grandfather, when I was a kid, we had a really good connection, right? I'll give you a great example. Just me and him, we'd be hanging out, doing our normal grandfather stuff, and he'd be like, well, I'm going to go take a nap. Yeah. Okay, and I'll sit in the living room. I'm reading a Mad magazine. I said, aren't you supposed to be in bed and not even look up?
Yeah.
And no, he was there. Look,
that
checking on me.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, I didn't know you were doing this. Like, how'd you go back to sleep? That being said, when he passed away, he came and visited me.
Yeah.
While I was at my dad's spending the night after the funeral. And I said, did you come and check on me around this time? And my dad comes by and he goes, no, when I went by, you were sound asleep.
Oh, yeah.
I said, yeah, it was Papa.
Oh, yeah.
He's done that several times, but I've always known when he was there because of that connection we had.
Right.
But that one's the one I wanted to start with.
Yeah. It's weird. Like, my great grandmother, she passed away when I was young. When I'm young, I'm thinking maybe 6, 7. Honestly, I don't know the exact age. But I always had a feeling when we lived in Stevensville, like she was always watching over me and my sister. And, in Stevensville, we had a lot of paranormal unexplained events between lights. And I'm sure you've probably heard them on prior episodes.
Oh, yeah.
And just weird events with people calling out, names and whatever. But that was definitely a hot spot for us as kids. And I always felt like when something was bad, she was always near me. And you could picture her like she was there in front of you.
Oh, yeah.
And I've had that with a lot of things. My grandfather, Pop, who I grew up with, he was like a dad to me, and we were really close. And it's hard because I miss him a lot. Like I miss him more than anybody. But I always feel like he is around me. And when I had my injury, I took a picture of myself. And I haven't shared it with anybody, and I'll definitely have to post it. But in this picture, there is a light behind me. But in the room, there is no light behind me.
Right.
And I even sent it to my sister and asked her, what is your feeling? What is this? And I told her what mine was after, but I wanted to see if we had the same answer. And she said that she felt like it was, my Pop, and he was sitting beside me and kind of helping me. And it just blew my mind because that was exactly what I felt.
You say that.
Yeah.
And my wedding day, when my wife's being walked down the aisle by her dad, the photographer took a great photo of it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the light comes in from the window at a weird angle,
right
above people,
right
above her, but right behind her, like walking next to her, was a fizzled orb.
Yeah.
So we think that it's her granddad Hank.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah. I mean, it's. I think there's too many things out in this world today that are just. We can't explain.
No.
I have my own theories, and I'm sure everybody does too. And like orbs and energy and, lights, and there's all these manifestations, whether they be,
imprinted or
right. Intelligent being or exactly. Or residual one that just keeps going over and over again.
That was what I was looking for.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel the same, especially the way all the experiences I've had.
Yeah.
When I lived in Florida, for example, we shared a ghost with the neighbor.
Nice.
I'm not kidding.
No, I know you're not.
This is funny because my mom and stepdad had the end bedroom.
Yeah.
In her trailer. and I'd never hear because I had lived in the living room.
Yeah.
But she's like, "Goddamn ghost kept me up again." I'm like, "I'm sorry, what?"
Right.
Not only did I didn't know until they went trucking.
Yeah.
When she became a truck driver with my stepdad, that I slept in their room because waterbed, of course.
Right.
The closet door.
Right.
That's what would happen. You'd lean up and go, "Shut up," and it would stop.
Yeah.
And then it wouldn't happen for like weeks, but the neighbor would have problems. So the ghost would move back and forth between our house.
That's awesome. Leave me the alone.
Right, exactly. Like, I'm trying to sleep here. Hey, shut up.
Go to ghost bed.
Whatever it is.
Yeah. Oh man, that's crazy.
Stuff like that would happen to us all the time.
Yeah.
The guardian angel thing that you were talking about, and what I was getting ready to say before we started this was my stepdad had one.
Yeah.
And he trucked alone for like, I don't know, a couple of years before my mom joined him. But she would clean out the truck when he'd come home.
Right.
And she'd find long black hair. Just a strand here or there. He's like, "I swear to God, I'm not doing anything.
Yeah.
I swear." No perfume or anything, just the hair. And little did we know that when my mom started trucking with him, she'd find the black hair too.
Wow.
When she was with him, she's like, "Okay, I believe you now."
Yeah.
Well, I'm in the house and they're all gone. I'm living alone at 13. I'm sleeping in the bed and I roll over and I'm looking and I see a woman with long black hair strode in the room. I'm like, "Why's my sister here?" No, my sister's not here. It was the guardian angel.
Yeah.
Looking for him.
Nice.
Or watching out over me, one of the two. But
yeah. Could have been either way. Honestly.
That was the very first entity I ever seen.
Yeah. The most crazy entity I've ever seen is actually local here, and I won't disclose it, but basically we'll say it is an old closed down bed and breakfast.
Was this the one you were telling me about the other when we were at work?
Yes. So it was weird. I was working with a couple coworkers, and obviously you know the story. Before our audience, I'll just kick it on. And I
love this story. You keep telling it to me all the time.
There's a couple of them exactly in this location, but I was working on this front door. All right, this big wooden heavy door that's aged, and I don't remember if I think I was doing camera work or trying to figure out how to get a wire up and down, but whatever it was, when I was there, I opened the front door and there was this guy standing right there. He had this plaid shirt on and like these old, not like jeans, like I like, you know, we wear jeans old, but like I'm talking like
the old Dickie style jeans.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Old jeans. And I looked right at him and said, you know, "Excuse me, you know, how can I help you?" Because specifically on that job site, we were the only ones there. We given access to this building and there was no caretakers or nothing. We knew the owners. We were the only ones supposed to be there.
Right.
So I opened the door and I asked him, you know, "Can I help you?" And I look over to a coworker and look back and he's gone. Now, it didn't freak me out, but I had the what the fuck moment. I went out the door looking around for him, like, where the hell did he go? And I couldn't find him. So that was an entity that I had at this location. Now, at the same location, we did an EVP. It was me, a couple coworkers again. We were down in this bowling alley. They actually had a bowling alley in this bed and breakfast, which is freaking awesome. But anyways, what we did is we set up a bowling pin on the top of this like wooden shelf where the pins were laid up.
Right.
We set one up there. All the lights were off because there was no freaking power in the building. And I had an old BlackBerry phone, which is dating this a little bit. But I had this old BlackBerry phone. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to put it in record mode. And I'm just because I'm curious, I want to see if anything responds. Because we kept having weird stuff happen. Yeah, we had a bunch of weird things happen. And so what we did is I started the EVP. And I asked the basic questions that you normally ask, you know, "Hi, I'm James, and, I'm curious, who are you? And, and can you give me a sign of your presence?" This is what happened. The pin moved. Now, this startled myself and the two coworkers. We're like, no, we're all imagining this. All three of us are imagining this pin moving.
We're all hallucinating.
Yeah, and I'm like, no, wait, what? okay, so now we have a sign, and I'm like, okay, can you give me your name? So what I did is I played it back on the BlackBerry. It's hard saying out the straight face. Played it back on the BlackBerry, and he told us his name was Tom. And it was hard to make out. In fact, we kept playing over and over and over because at first it was like, that's just a noise or whatever. But he straight up told us his name was Tom. So I'm just piecing it. Maybe I'm going to call him the caretaker because I have no name for what this guy was Tom. And I'd like to get a hold of the new owner of the establishment and try to see if I can figure out history on this location, because I would like to dig more into it. But that was like, the guy was standing right in front of me, like me and you this close kind of situation, like within a foot. And I'm just like, this guy's real, who are you? And then he's gone. So no explanation.
I was that close. I was about the length of a bed away from we still call her the guardian angel.
Yeah.
When I lived in my first home that I personally bought, my very first home with the kids.
Yeah.
We first had our first son, and my wife stayed home while I worked because, mommy things, which is cool.
Yeah.
We had the spare bedroom full of stuff.
Yeah.
So she laid him on the floor with his blankie draped over him, pacifier. She's on her hands and knees across the hall looking for something in the room, so she's not too far away. And this is where the first thing started to happen. She comes back over to check him because he's like, that's a little too quiet for a boy.
Right. He's in trouble.
She comes back to check on him. The blankie's perfectly tucked under him, like swaddled.
Nice. So he's being nurtured.
Yes.
Yeah.
Things that would happen in this house, pacifiers would disappear. Like, gone.
Yeah.
Either they were perfectly center of the crib underneath it, or just when we moved and I tore their beds apart and pulled everything out, still nothing.
Yeah.
They're gone. I would do midnight feedings for the first one. And I'd be in a rocking chair giving him his bottle, and his drapes would rock.
Nice.
No wind.
Yeah.
They would just rock, like somebody standing there going, you're doing a good job.
Yeah.
I have the old style dressers where you grab the ring and drop it, and it goes flink if you drop it.
Yeah.
Be laying in the bed and hear flink, 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 flink. Oh my God, please stop. I'm trying to sleep.
Again, ghost bed. I feel like some of these spirits need to have their own time out.
Right. Come on, man. I would be laying in bed trying to go to sleep, and I'd hear
right
in different parts of my room. Like, come on.
Yeah.
Lights off. I'm sleeping. If you want to have a conversation, wait till I'm awake.
Well, I'll say, especially since you're my guest today, and we were talking about it briefly before we started recording this episode, paranormal covers such a broad, it's such a wide spectrum. Okay. And with that being said, your story that you've told me way before I even got into any of this is still one of my favorite paranormal stories to date, especially because it's local. And my wife has had the same scenario exactly in that direction, but yours may be in a different area. But we're going to talk a little about
which one?
The UFOs.
Okay.
Unexplained objects.
I'm going to say this again. Which one?
Yeah. So I'm going to let you start that story.
Well,
I'll have to pull her on.
No, you got to tell me which one, because I have to remember which one it is.
See, that's problem with an ADHD mind is it all kind of goes together sometimes.
Mine too.
So I'm not sure. I think it was the one where I can't remember if you were driving, you saw it in the distance. I think.
Oh, is it the five white lights?
Yes.
in a triangle?
Yes. That's the one.
Oh yeah, I remember this one clearly. I was coming up your road here, going to pick up the kids over at the high school.
Right.
And I saw it over the tree line. Over, if you're heading towards our school, towards Newton West.
Yeah.
Perfect. 1, 2, 1. One off the east side, one off to each side again.
Yeah. In
a perfect V. Big, bright, clear white lights. I'm like, ain't no planes like that. No, not even remotely like that. And I watched it, and I just watched it. It was perfect V.
Yeah.
Going across. And I'm like, that's so weird. And trying to get in our neck of the woods, literally, trying trying to get a good angle of something before it disappears is almost impossible. You see it for a glance, you're holy crap.
Yeah. All of a sudden the corn's covered in, or a tree line.
Tree line.
You're just screwed.
Come on, give me a break. I can't even get my phone out fast enough to get a picture.
Yeah.
That's not the first time I've seen stuff up in that direction.
Yeah.
Back at the first house, I'm standing there. It's a nice night, and standing there, door open, like, it's such a beautiful night. And I see looks like a plane because it's the yellow dot. I'm like, that's a strange direction. I've never seen a plane come from that way because BWI is
right, yeah,
far west.
Yeah.
And they fly west-east,
right?
Sometimes north-south, not
right
south-west. I'm like, that's weird. And my background and seeing crazy things, I'm like, I think I know what this is. And my suspicions were proven true when I saw a little light come off of it,
right,
circle around it, and then go back into it. And I'm like, oh my God, did you come see this? You come see this? And I turn around and I'm trying to get my wife, and I come back, it's gone.
Yeah. And that's always the way. It's like, I got somebody with me about this, I'm not crazy. And then, nope. Yeah.
That's not how it went the second time I've seen something.
Yeah.
I'm in Ocala National Forest down in Florida. We're driving into the National Forest with a friend of mine, and she's driving, and I told her about my pickup truck scenario. She's like, oh, you're crazy. You don't know what you saw. And I was like, it's perfect too. I was like, if it's that star right there, it just started moving around and then disappeared. And sure enough, as soon as I said it, it did it.
Nice.
And she's like,
yeah.
And she walked the rest of the way.
Wow.
I was like, how am I supposed to drive?
That sucks.
Because we weren't even halfway there.
I know Kristen, and I'll have to get her on one of these days. She had the exact same scenario happen. It could have been the same day for all I know, because I know it was down that direction, and she talked about it. And she's also had, where the graveyard is down the road as well.
Yes.
Yeah. She had an entity while she was driving, which I thought was really wild. An entity show up in the graveyard while she's driving. She watched it appear. And as she went to go get my attention, it went away. Again, one of those kind of things.
Like, damn it, I was so close.
It's just like, man, I really wanted to see him. But I'll have to get her on to share that story because she has the details and all that stuff.
Well, my pickup truck one is where all us kids are in the back of the pickup while we're driving down one of the back roads of the National Forest. And I happen to look up. Beautiful blue day, nice clear, couple clouds here and there.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, that's such a beautiful day to be riding before we go really hardcore hunting. And because when hunting starts, you can't notice anything.
Yeah.
I happened to look up, and as a cloud moved by, I saw two perfectly round dome spacecraft in parallel, flying side by side. And they were so close, I could almost see what was in the cockpit.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they were that close. I'm like...
Now, when you were seeing, were these similar to the ones you saw before? Or were they completely different? With the lights and the...
There was no light because it was broad daylight.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, okay.
This is broad daylight because we're all, it's the day before hunting season. We're just, getting into the... And we're riding, and I'm like, whoa, that's so cool. I can't believe... And a cloud comes over, and they were gone. And I'm like, you sons of bitches.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing I'll definitely say is, whether people believe it or not, there's no way in this universe where
we are only people.
Yeah, just no way.
There's not even a chance. I mean, there could be humanoids like us somewhere else that are more advanced than us. They'd be conceited and narcissistic to say, oh, we're the only thing ever.
Yeah, that's... Yeah, very, very messed up. I'm sure there's some who would love to believe that, but it's not reality.
I can't believe it.
There's too many unexplained. And the thing is, it's like if we were, imagine us, trying to look for another world or a living area, we would be just as curious. We'd go in tiptoeing.
Right.
You wouldn't just be like, hey, we're here, and go.
Oh, yeah, you'd be like,
because you don't know. And yeah, exactly.
Can we go down there and say hi? Would we get caught? Would we get blowed up?
No, I would definitely be tiptoeing. And I feel like, I don't know. Obviously, none of us really know what to truly believe, because you have to have these expectations. But like, they talk about the Egyptians and their technology, and
how the pyramids were
the Mayan tribes,
and Mayans,
all these connections,
and I mean,
some people believe it's alien, and I could see that, honestly. It could, just if something was to show up and be like, hey, we really need to help these guys out, advance a little, maybe we should kick them a little bucket, but there's no way to prove that or disprove that.
Right, exactly. And it's like, oh, you had Egyptians, like, oh, we had 1 million slaves help us build this. Really? I'm a little skeptic. I can't. I'm sorry. I'm just that way.
I'm not saying it's impossible.
I'm not saying it's
improbable.
Exactly. I'm not saying you couldn't, but come on.
Yeah. And they got the Easter Island where, which was funny that they discovered that the heads
actually have
bodies attached to them, and they go a lot further in the ground.
Right. Exactly.
I'm like,
there are civilizations they've dug up in archaeology that have nuked themselves before we even knew what nuclear technology was.
Right.
The radiation levels when they found them were like, this is like a nuclear war happened here.
Right.
The blast radiuses, the radiation content that's still there.
That's nuts.
Being that it's like, X amount of thousands of years old.
Yeah.
It's, oh, wow, there's radiation here. Well, there's this much. What happened and everything all around. You dated back, if the blast is this is how much radiation would take to do that.
Right.
How long does it take to dissipate to this point?
Right. Which brings me to a really good point too, and a lot of this, in my own view and opinion, kind of tie together, is the discussion of energy. Now, the reason I bring that up is because what scientifically is said, energy cannot be destroyed. So
No.
if you have a spiritual thing, that could be energy related, whether it's intelligent or not, because it's been passed onto something and it's still there.
Right.
It's not gone.
No.
Which has always been my belief. Like, I always feel like, when people talk about reincarnation or having memories of a past life, I feel like that's residual energy that they've kept up in their new form.
Right.
And now they got these memories because this energy hasn't gone anywhere. Yeah, you have bits and pieces.
It's like recycling a can.
Yeah, exactly.
The part of the can's still there. It's just something new.
Right. And I feel like the same way, like if we were an alien species or whatever, they probably have a much better understanding of what energy is
and how to use it.
Yeah, and how to use it
for
whatever reason that they're using it for, whether it's a UFO or whatever. It doesn't really matter.
You say that, and how aliens use energy. Have you seen the Bob Lazar documentary?
No.
It's on Netflix. You got to watch it.
Yeah.
So Bob Lazar.
Hashtag not a promo.
No, not a promo at all. But if you don't know who he is, he was a scientist at MIT.
Okay.
And he was famous around the block because he put a rocket engine on his car and drove it around.
Hey, I'd be a cool kid if I did that too.
So the government's like, you're pretty smart and you know your way around rockets and whatnot.
Yeah.
Come here, we got a project we'd like to, put you in. Come to find out, he's like, he walks in and he's like, is that what don't look that way. He's like, I saw hangars full of UFOs that we've found.
Right.
Piecing back together. Apparently confiscated, and we're trying to reverse engineer these things. He goes, and I was tasked with the engine.
Gotcha.
Now, people in the 70s thought he was fucking nuts because he's like talking about element 115. What is it, 115 or something like that? Something that never existed.
Okay.
Not until 2003.
Gotcha.
When all of a sudden they're like, we found a new element. Yeah,
right.
It's called element 115. He goes, wait a minute.
All of a sudden the periodic tables have changed.
Well, not only that, people that remember Bob Lazar and how he was talking, he's like, wait a minute, maybe he's not crazy.
Right.
Well,
I mean, the accounts, and I'm terrible with remembering things, but I know in NASA, there's been many astronauts who had accounts.
Oh, yeah.
And a lot of them are now coming forward. Welcome to King County, by the way.
There you go.
A lot of them are coming forward and they're,
saying what is
what, and they're not backing down. Of course, people are trying to hush them.
Well, not anymore. Not after the Pentagon said, yeah, we don't know what those guys were.
Yeah.
That whole thing. And people are like, yeah, we know, we don't care anymore.
Yeah.
If we've known you tried to hide it, we just...
there is no special team trying to get rid of you anymore.
Right, exactly.
We called them off. They're now retired.
Especially when the president goes, "We want to do a space force."
Yeah.
Well, you didn't say we had aliens. Now you're saying we have a problem.
That's nuts. God, man, it's.
I don't want to. I visited my brother in Virginia, and I don't want to say what he does and where he works and all that, but he's had experiences with NASA.
Yeah.
And it's just weird. There's not a lot to talk about it.
Kind of like being in the military when you're off on a place.
Right, exactly.
Hush, hush.
Don't talk about this.
Yeah,
but he was telling me experiences. I'm like, what?
It would be nice if there was, chances for people to come forward and kind of open the world's eye to different things and what really is going on.
Oh, exactly. I mean, but I think people look at it like the higher people who try to make our decisions for us and go, you'd be scared. It would scare you.
That's all. Yeah, that's all. Especially when you see that stuff in movies, like, oh, we don't want to have a pandemic. Well, welcome to the world. We're in one now.
Well, yeah.
And people are gonna panic, and people are eventually gonna open up their minds.
Well, not only those, you'd be surprised how many people actually have had experiences and don't talk about it because people around them go, you saw shit. You're crazy. You're delusional.
That's why I have this channel.
Right,
because I'm finding people who are having similar situations and are available to talk about it. And honestly, you'd
be surprised how many people will be like, okay, at least you're honest with us now.
Yeah,
I've always known.
Yeah, I had relatives come forward that told me some stories. And my uncle was one of them, and I was very glad to hear from him. He told me a story. He was working at I can't remember if he said it was a tavern or whatever. It was an old place. We'll just go there. And he was there alone, and there was an entity and a female voice specifically called his name out, which I know my uncle, and he believes in the paranormal too, but I'm pretty sure that probably shocked him a little bit. But I think that he didn't have a lot of stories. That was the one he's like, yeah, this happened. And I was like, man, that's a short story, but that's crazy. It's another thing that nobody can explain, and it's your own thing.
Right. Well, that my father and my aunt had back in the 70s.
Yeah.
Where, they had a paper route.
Oh, yeah.
They were doing them, paper routes were like at 1 a.m.
Right.
So they're driving, doing the paper route, getting stuff together, and Dad's driving. They go past a cornfield. In the middle of the cornfield, a UFO with all lights shining landed. They were like, "Holy crap!"
It was. I mean, it's not like nowadays we got smartphones. We can just quickly try.
Right.
They couldn't even do anything back in those days. And and I feel like in a way that there probably was a lot more happening at that time because we were in a less busier world.
Oh, absolutely.
Where if there wasn't any, like I was saying, tiptoeing, I'm sure they tiptoe like we would tiptoe, where they can be out and try to investigate and do what they're doing. This is all assumption, of course.
Oh, absolutely.
But it would make sense to me. Less populated area means more can happen.
Exactly. As the belief that we're placed here and they're here as like we're a zoo, or
right?
Because how many creatures are in this freaking world that we keep finding? It's like, you just explore that area.
Yeah.
How is that new?
Go back to the giant squid scenario, where exactly. I don't know how many, 10, 15 years ago, this didn't exist. All of a sudden, we found them. So it's like, oh, okay.
Well, not only that, it's like a new species now.
Yeah.
Out of the blue, it's like, wait a minute.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not unless it's being put here and breed your thing by somebody else, and now we're finding it going, oh well, when they got a new species of some marsupial of some sort or something.
Well, I'm probably gonna get wrapping up today, and you guys can check us out at Paranormal Synergy on Facebook, as well as email me at paranormalsynergy@gmail.com. And John, I don't know if you have anything else you want to add to this.
Not at the moment.
Yeah, and I really appreciate you coming over and doing this.
I love it.
Yeah, I love it too. All right, bye guys.
See ya.